My wedding disappeared with a text message. Not a phone call, not a conversation, just 4 words that detonated 18 months of planning. Your wedding is postponed. My mother had already told the entire family I'd called it off. She'd made the announcement before she even asked me. She needed the date, you see. My brother Tyler wanted to throw his engagement party, and October 14th was the only day the venue had available. The same October 14th I'd had booked for a year and a half. They expected me to fold like I always had, to be the good daughter, the responsible one, the problem solver who fixed everyone else's messes while my own life sat on a shelf, waiting. Instead, I married the love of my life anyway. I hired security to keep them out, and I disappeared before they could stop me. My name is Emma Richardson, and this is the story of how I chose myself. But to understand why that text message felt less like a schedule change and more like a declaration of war, you need to know where I was when I received it, and who I'd spent 29 years becoming. I was scrubbing blue ink off my thumb in the restroom of King County Superior Court when my phone buzzed. It was 2:14 on a Tuesday afternoon in late August. I had 90 seconds before I needed to be back in courtroom 4B for the summary judgment hearing. 29 years old, third-year law student, legal intern, compliance analyst at Redwood Meridian Consulting, running on coffee and the promise that it would all be worth it once I passed the bar. The phone's screen lit up with a preview message. "Mom, your wedding is postponed." I froze, water dripping from my hands onto white tile. Not a question, a declarative sentence. 4 words delivered with the casual brutality of a weather report. I swiped the screen open, my wet thumb leaving a smear across the glass. "What are you talking about?" The 3 dots appeared immediately. She'd been waiting. "Mom, Tyler and Ashley set a date for their engagement party. It's going to be a big one. They finally secured the venue Ashley's been dreaming of." My confusion knotted tight. That's great for them. But what does that have to do with my wedding? "Mom, the only date the venue had available is October 14th. October 14th, my date. The date Jake and I had secured 18 months ago. The date printed on invitations sitting boxed and stamped on my dining room table, ready to mail tomorrow. Mom, October 14th is my wedding day. You know that. Everyone knows that. Mom, I know, honey, but this is the only date the venue has for the entire season. You know how Ashley gets when she has her heart set on something. She's been so stressed, and Tyler really wants to give her this. It's important for his confidence. Important for his confidence. My brother was 26 years old, a man who'd never held a job longer than 6 months. I can't move my wedding, Mom. The deposits are paid. The vendors are booked. Guests have already requested time off work. Mom, don't be dramatic, Emma. It's just a party. You haven't sent the invitations yet. I checked. You can easily push yours back to spring. Better weather anyway. Besides, it's gracious to step aside for your brother. You know he needs the spotlight right now. I felt the blood drain from my face. She was asking me to cancel a wedding I'd spent 2 years planning so my brother could throw a party. No, I'm not doing that. Tell them to pick another date. The dots disappeared. 10 seconds. 20. I could hear the bailiff calling a docket number. I needed to go back. Finally. Mom, I already told Aunt Carol and the cousins that you decided to postpone. The world tilted. She hadn't asked me. She'd executed it, gone behind my back and begun dismantling my life to pave the road for Tyler. She'd planted the narrative. If I fought back now, I wouldn't be the victim. I'd be the difficult daughter causing drama. Aunt Carol was the family town crier. If Carol knew, 50 people across 3 states knew by now. They were erasing October 14th from calendars, whispering about cold feet or relationship problems. My mother hadn't just canceled a date. She'd humiliated me. I typed one last message. "We are not postponing." I shoved the phone into my blazer pocket, grabbed a paper towel, and walked out. Inside the courtroom, opposing counsel was arguing about breach of contract. Bad faith. The words floated through me. All I could see was the text. "Your wedding is postponed." My mother expected me to fold. That was the script. Since childhood, I'd been the oak tree, sturdy, silent, providing shade. Tyler was the orchid, delicate, demanding, requiring specific conditions to survive. When Tyler crashed my first car, my parents asked me not to be angry because he was shaken up. When Tyler failed college classes, I tutored him, rewrote his essays, fixed it. I'd spent 29 years fixing it, but this wasn't a dented fender. This was my life. This was Jake, who worked 24-hour ambulance shifts to help pay deposits, who held me through exhaustion, who looked at me not as a resource to be mined, but as a person to be cherished. My mother wasn't asking me to move a party. She was asking me to tell Jake he mattered less than Tyler. I sat there surrounded by the machinery of justice, and I felt something snap. Quiet, not hysterical. The sound of a structural beam finally giving way under weight it was never designed to carry. The ancient part of me, the part that desperately wanted to be the good daughter, that craved approval, that believed sacrifice would equal love, dying. I picked up my pen and wrote a single word in the margin of my legal pad. No. My phone buzzed again in my pocket. I didn't check it. I was Emma Richardson, the problem solver, the one who kept the family running, and today, for the first time in my life, I was going to stop running it. I drove straight to Fire Station 23 after the hearing. Jake was ending his 24-hour shift. I needed to see him before I lost my nerve, before the old programming convinced me I was overreacting. But as I drove, my mind circled the same question. How did I become this person? The person who apologized when someone else crashed her car, who rewrote her brother's college essays at 2 a.m., whose first instinct was to wonder if maybe she was being selfish. The answer was buried in the architecture of my family. I'd worked all summer at Rosie's Diner, grease burns, grabby customers, coffee smell in my hair, every paycheck into savings. By August, $3,200, enough for a used car. The Honda Civic was 10 years old with a dented bumper and temperamental AC, but it was mine, my freedom, the physical manifestation of hard work. Tyler was 14, no permit, no license. But he wanted to go to the arcade, and my keys were on the kitchen counter. He took them, made it less than 2 miles before hydroplaning into a guardrail. When Dad drove me to the scene, the car was totaled. Front end crumpled like foil, steam rising into rain. My heart stopped. I ran toward the wreckage, terrified he was dead. Tyler sat on the curb, wrapped in a police blanket, wailing like a child half his age. Not a scratch on him. I stood there looking at my destroyed property, my hours of sweat, my freedom. Anger, hot and righteous, flared. I opened my mouth to scream, but before I could speak, my mother was there, not rushing to me, rushing to him. She enveloped Tyler, stroking his hair, then looked up at me with hard, cold eyes, warning me to stay back. "Emma," she hissed. "Look at him. He's traumatized. Don't you dare say a word about that stupid car. He could have been killed." Dad stood behind her, staring at his shoes. "He's just a boy," Mom continued. "He made a mistake. We're just glad you're safe, baby." In the car ride home, Tyler cried in front while Mom held his hand. I sat in back, silent. At home, Tyler went to his room to play video games to calm his nerves. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at walls. Mom came in minutes later, didn't offer to help replace the car, didn't suggest Tyler work off the debt. "You need to apologize to your brother," she said. I stared. "Excuse me?" "He thinks you're mad at him. He's upstairs crying because he thinks you hate him. You know how sensitive he is." She paused. "Tell him you were thinking of selling the car anyway." And I did it. Walked upstairs, sat on his bed while he played games, not even looking at me. Told him it was fine, not to worry. I wasn't angry. I soothed the person who'd stolen from me and destroyed my property, because that was my role. I swallowed my rage until it turned into a hard stone in my stomach. A stone I'd been carrying for 12 years. That dynamic never changed. It evolved. Tyler got fired from his third job, a coffee shop. Creative differences with the manager, code for showing up late and arguing about dress code. My parents paid his rent for 6 months so he wouldn't feel pressured. When I got promoted to senior compliance officer at Redwood Meridian, Sunday dinner conversation pivoted within minutes to how hard Tyler was trying to find his passion. Mom made sure I didn't shine too brightly lest Tyler feel inadequate. 2 years ago, I made a catastrophic mistake. Tyler had been unemployed 7 months. My boss, Catherine, mentioned an opening in the mailroom, entry level, but with benefits and growth potential. I vouched for Tyler. He lasted 2 months. Got into an argument about micromanagement. The supervisor had asked him to show up on time. Tyler walked out mid-shift, leaving urgent client documents unsorted. Catherine called me in the next day. "Emma," she said gently but firmly, "I know he's your brother, but you can't save everyone. And when you try, it reflects on you." I apologized profusely, promised it wouldn't happen again. The damage was done. Catherine looked at me differently, wondering if family loyalty would override professional judgment. It took months to rebuild her trust. Tyler never apologized, told our parents I'd set him up to fail. Mom agreed. 18 months ago, right when Jake and I got engaged, Tyler met her at an art gallery opening. She had 50,000 Instagram followers. Not quite influencer status, but enough to feel important. Her feed, carefully curated coffee cups, sunsets, inspirational quotes. Within a month, they were inseparable. I was relieved at first. Finally, someone else could manage Tyler's emotional needs, but I'd misread it entirely. Ashley didn't want to fix Tyler. She wanted to use him. She was from working-class Tacoma. Nothing wrong with that, except Ashley was pathologically ashamed of it. She wanted the aesthetic of wealth, the Instagram-perfect life, and she saw Richardson Family Resources as her ticket. She noticed that when I spoke at Sunday dinners, Dad listened, that I organized gatherings, that I was competent. She decided there wasn't room for two leading ladies. It started subtly. Comments about my work clothes being so corporate, my job being kind of boring, right? When Jake and I announced our engagement, Ashley's congratulations felt hollow. Once wedding planning started, the temperature changed. I'd mention the vineyard venue. Ashley would offer a pitying smile. "Oh, rustic. That's quaint, very down to earth. Not everyone wants black tie." She planted seeds in Mom's mind, seeds that I was selfish for having a wedding when Tyler was still finding his footing. That the family should focus their energy on helping Tyler and Ashley get established. I brushed it off, told Jake she was insecure, told myself Mom would never let Ashley dictate family policy. I told myself there was a line they wouldn't cross. Sitting on the ambulance bumper in his Navy uniform, exhausted, dark hair disheveled, shadows under his eyes. But when he saw my face, his expression changed. "What happened?" I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. The tears I'd held for 3 hours hit me all at once. Ugly, gasping sobs. Jake crossed the lot in 3 strides and pulled me into his arms. Talk to me." I showed him the texts. He read once, then again. His jaw tightened. "She told the family you postponed before she even asked you." "Yes. And she wants you to move your wedding, the one we've planned for 18 months, spent $30,000 on, so Tyler can have his engagement party the same day." "Yes." I saw something in Jake's eyes I'd rarely seen directed at my family. Pure, cold anger. "We're not postponing," he said. "I know, but we need a plan." He glanced around. "Let's go home. We'll figure this out." As we walked to our cars, he said something that made my blood run cold. Your mom called me 2 weeks ago." I stopped. "What?" "She said she wanted to catch up, asked about work, wedding plans. I thought it was weird, but figured she was trying to be involved." He shook his head. "She was scouting, figuring out if I knew about Tyler's party, if we'd be willing to move." "What did you say?" "I told her we were locked in. Non-refundable deposits. October 14th was set in stone." He looked at me. "That's why she didn't ask you first. She already knew we'd say no, so she made the announcement figuring you'd fold under social pressure." The stone in my stomach grew heavier. This wasn't spontaneous. This was a campaign. Our Capitol Hill apartment felt different that evening. Less sanctuary, more war room. Jake pulled out the wedding binder. Massive, 3-ring, meticulously organized. Every contract, receipt, timeline. He set it on our small dining table with a heavy thud. "Show me everything." I opened to the financial section. Color-coded spreadsheet, cross-referenced, updated religiously. $32,450, Jake read aloud. "How much is refundable if we cancel?" "Nothing. We're 60 days out. Paragraph 4B of the venue contract. All deposits are non-refundable and non-transferable within 90 days of the event date. So, if we move, we lose everything. Venue, catering, photographer, florist, string quartet, $32,000. Jake sat back, running a hand through his hair. "That's more than a year of my student loans." "I know. Your entire emergency fund." "I know." He looked at me. "Then the date stands. We're getting married October 14th. If Tyler wants a party that day, that's his problem." I felt dizzy with relief. "Okay, but we need to lock everything down. My mom has access to—" I stopped. "Oh, no." "What?" I was already pulling out my laptop. "I gave her the password to the wedding email 6 months ago so she could help with RSVPs. I logged in, checked the sent folder. Empty. She deleted everything she sent. Then I checked trash. There it was, an email dated 2 weeks ago when Mom had called Jake, forwarded from my account to Ashley's personal email. Subject: Guest list, full data. I opened it, my master spreadsheet attached. Every name, address, phone number, meal preference. Underneath, Mom had typed, "Here's the list, sweetie. Compare it with yours. We need to make sure the VIPs are prioritized for the big day. I'll start softening up the extended family about the conflict. Don't worry about Emma's list. Most of these people would rather go to a real party anyway. X." Oh, I stared at the screen. Jake read over my shoulder. "The big day. The conflict. They've been planning this for weeks." "She handed my entire contact list to Ashley," I whispered. "Like a dowry." The room went quiet. "Em, this isn't about a venue conflict. This is coordinated. They orchestrated it." I thought about Ashley's Instagram posts about dreaming of the perfect venue, Mom's comments and likes, the carefully crafted narrative. It had all been theater, performance designed to make me look unreasonable when I objected. "I need to change the password." "Do it now." I changed it, deleted the spreadsheet from the cloud, but the damage was done. Jake pulled out his phone. "We need to call the venue, set up security protocols." "Security? You think they'd actually crash?" "Em, your mother tried to steal your guest list. She's coordinating with Ashley to poach your date. She lied to your entire family." He looked at me. "Yes, I think they'll show up." I called Victoria Hayes, the venue coordinator, at 8:15. Victoria ran the vineyard with military precision. She'd seen everything. Bridezillas, drunk groomsmen, family fights. Nothing rattled her. "Emma, is everything all right?" "Victoria, I need to make immediate changes to our file. I need to set a password on our account. Effective immediately, no changes. Absolutely zero are made unless they come directly from me or Jake with the verbal password." The typing stopped. "Is there a problem?" "My family is attempting to cancel my event. They may call pretending to be me. They may claim I'm sick or we've broken up. None of it is true. Unless you hear the password Meridian, nothing changes." Victoria's voice shifted. "I understand. I've seen this before. I'll flag your file in red. And Emma, if you're expecting hostile actors, review your guest list. If you have people who'll bring drama or report back, cut them. You want a wedding, not a hostage negotiation." Still, after hanging up, Jake pulled out the guest list. 80 names. "We need to cut anyone who's a liability," he said. We went through methodically. Aunt Carol and Uncle Bob, the town crier. Cut. Cousin Mark. Tyler's best friend. Cut. The Hendersons, Mom's church book club. Cut. After 30 minutes, 80 down to 32. Then Jake pointed to 2 names at the top. Patricia Richardson, David Richardson. "Em," he said gently, "if they come, what happens?" I thought about it, really thought. Mom would wear black, cry loudly during vows, not joy, but martyrdom. Tell everyone I'd forced her to choose. Dad would stand silently beside her, letting it happen. Like always, their presence wouldn't be support, it would be protest. My voice cracked. I can't cut my own parents. Can you handle them being there? I closed my eyes, imagined it. Mom's cold stare as I walked down the aisle, her refusal to smile in photos, the passive-aggressive comments, the inevitable scene. I thought about the text message. Your wedding is postponed. I thought about the email. Most of these people would rather go to a real party anyway. I opened my eyes, took the red pen, drew a single clean line through Patricia Richardson and David Richardson. It felt like amputation. But as the ink dried, the pain was replaced by something else. Relief. 25 guests, I said, down from 80. Jake scanned the final list, his parents. My best friend Rachel and 2 others from law school, his co-workers. My mentor Catherine. A handful of kind cousins, people who actually knew us, wanted us happy. It looks perfect, Jake said. It looks sparse. It looks real. I gave them one chance. Thursday evening, 2 days after the text, I drove to my parents' Ravenna house, the modest 1960s ranch with brick facade and Japanese maple. The house where I'd studied for SATs, gotten ready for prom, cried after Tyler totaled my Honda. The house that never quite felt like home. I sat in my car for a full minute, gripping the wheel, steadying my breathing. I had a folder, copies of contracts highlighting non-refundable clauses. Physical proof that what Mom asked was financially impossible. I was going to be calm, professional, present facts. Give her a chance to back down. When I walked in the side door, the scene was aggressively normal. Dad reading a golf magazine at the kitchen island. Mom stirring marinara on the stove, steam curling around her styled hair. The smell of oregano and garlic. 1,000 childhood dinners where we all pretended everything was fine. I didn't sit, didn't remove my coat. I stood in the doorway. We need to talk about October 14th. Mom didn't turn, kept stirring, wooden spoon scraping ceramic rhythmically. Oh, Emma, can't we have a nice dinner first? Your father bought that wine you like. I'm not staying for dinner. I know what you're doing. I know you and Ashley are planning an engagement party for my wedding day. I know you're inviting my guests. The spoon stopped. Silence. Dad slowly closed his magazine, face tightening. Mom turned, wiping hands on a towel. She didn't look guilty. She looked annoyed, like I was a toddler throwing a tantrum. You're making it sound so sinister. It's not a conspiracy, Emma. It's a coincidence. The venue Tyler found only had that Saturday available. You know how short the season is. It's not a coincidence, Mom. It's my wedding day. You have to tell them to move it. She sighed, long-suffering. We can't move it. It's too late. Tyler is so excited. If we tell him to change dates now, it will crush him. You know how he gets. He spirals. I felt a vein throb in my neck. I pulled the folder from my bag, slammed it on granite. I have contracts, signed contracts, non-refundable deposits. Do you understand? I'm talking about $30,000. If we cancel, we lose it all. Mom waved dismissively. Money, that's all you talk about. You're so rigid, Emma. This is about family, about your brother's happiness. So that's it? Her voice turned cold. You'd bankrupt your relationship with your brother over money? Make him feel secondary on the one day he wants to shine? Make him feel secondary? It's my wedding day. By definition, he is secondary. Mom shook her head, looking at Dad. See, this is what I mean. She has no empathy. She thinks the world revolves around her. Dad cleared his throat, looking miserable. Emma, honey, maybe you could compromise. Look at spring dates. Your mother says flowers are nicer in April. I looked at him. The last shred of respect disintegrated. He wasn't just passive. He was actively choosing Mom over me. No, I said, hard, absolute. I'm not moving the date. I'm not canceling vendors. I'm getting married October 14th. If Tyler wants a party that day, he can, but I won't be there. And neither will anyone who actually cares about me. Mom's face hardened. The concerned mother mask dropped. You're being incredibly selfish, she whispered dangerously. You're forcing people to choose. Do you know how tacky that looks? I'm not dividing the family. I'm sticking to the plan we've had for 18 months. My phone buzzed. Again. Instagram notification. Tagged in a story. Ashley. I unlocked the phone, thumb trembling. A professional graphic. Sleek, modern, gold lettering on black. Caption. Real queens don't fight over dates. They elevate. So excited to celebrate our love with the people who truly matter. She'd posted it while I was standing here. While Mom stalled, Ashley went public. They'd coordinated this. I turned the screen to Mom's face. Did you tell her to post this? Mom glanced, shrugged. She's just excited. Why do you read malice into everything? She's trying to elevate. Maybe you should try it. The audacity was breathtaking. I put the phone away. You're right, I said, voice eerily calm. I do need to elevate. I took the folder back. I'm keeping my date, and I'm making sure every single person knows exactly why there are 2 invitations. I'm done covering for Tyler, done pretending this family is normal. Mom laughed, harsh, barking. Please. You won't say a word, you never do. You're too afraid of looking messy. She stepped closer. You'll complain and cry, then call the venue and move. Because you're the responsible one, Emma. You fix things. You don't break them. Her eyes held absolute certainty. And let me tell you something, she hissed. This family can't survive selfishness. If you make people choose between you and your brother, you're going to lose. Tyler needs this. We need this. You have Jake, your job, your little life. Let Tyler have this one thing. I looked at her, really looked, for the first time in years, saw the lines around her mouth, the desperate glint, the fear. She knew Tyler was failing, knew Ashley was using him, and if she didn't feed the shark, it would eat her son. So she was feeding me instead. I'm not moving, I said quietly. I turned and walked out. Emma, she called. Emma, get back here. We are not done. But I kept walking. Through the living room, past family photos. Tyler's graduation I'd essentially earned for him, the vacation I'd paid for. Out the front door. Into the rain. I got in my car, locked the door. My hands shook so badly I couldn't get the key in the ignition. I gripped the wheel, counting to 10, trying to stop the world from tilting. I'd expected denial, apology, maybe begging. I hadn't expected them to declare war. I started the car. Windshield wipers swiped back and forth, metronome to my racing heart. Mom was right about one thing. I was the one who fixed things, but she was wrong about the rest. I wasn't afraid of looking messy. Not anymore. As I pulled out of the driveway, I felt something lock into place. The sound of a door closing. The ancient part of me that wanted their love wasn't just cracking. It was calcifying, hardening. They wanted October 14th. They could fight me for it. But I wasn't fighting with texts or passive-aggressive dinners. I was a compliance analyst. I fought with documentation, protocol, the absolute weight of facts. I merged onto the freeway, rain blurring city lights. Mom said the family couldn't survive selfishness. She was about to find out it couldn't survive the truth, either. 3 weeks passed in a strange, suspended quiet. It was late September now. The leaves on the Japanese maple in my parents' front yard, the one I could picture without trying, would be starting to turn. Soon, they'd be that brilliant crimson that tourists photographed, the color that made Seattle feel briefly, improbably, like New England. I wouldn't know for sure. I hadn't driven past the house since that Thursday in the rain. The silence from my family was absolute. No calls, no texts, no accidental run-ins at the grocery store my mother and I both frequented. Nothing. At first, I felt relief. Pure, clean, breathable relief. The constant low-grade anxiety that had hummed in my nervous system for 29 years. The feeling of waiting for the next crisis, the next demand, the next fire I'd have to extinguish. It was gone. But relief didn't exist in a vacuum. By week 2, it curdled into something else. Creeping guilt, paranoia. The persistent thought, what are they planning? I'd check my phone compulsively, open Instagram, then close it. Refresh my email, search my mother's name on Facebook even though I'd unfriended her years ago. Jake noticed. You're letting them live rent-free in your head. I know, I said. But silence from my mother is scarier than noise. When she's quiet, she's strategizing. What I didn't expect was who would step into the vacuum. On a Tuesday evening, 2 weeks after the confrontation, there was a knock at our apartment door. I opened it to find Linda Mitchell, Jake's mother, standing in the hallway holding a casserole dish wrapped in foil and a bottle of red wine. "Hi, sweetheart," she said, her voice warm and matter-of-fact. She didn't wait for an invitation, just walked past me into the kitchen and set the dish on the counter. "Turkey tetrazzini. Jake mentioned you've both been living on takeout." I stood in the doorway, confused. "Linda, you didn't have to." "I know I didn't have to." She turned to face me, and her expression was gentle but direct. "Emma, honey, Jake told us what happened, with your mother, with the wedding date." My stomach dropped. "He did?" "Of course he did. We're his parents, and you're going to be our daughter in 3 weeks." She stepped closer. "Tom and I are so proud of you." I blinked, fighting the sudden burn of tears. "Proud of me? For what?" "I'm wrecking my family dynamic. For standing up," Linda corrected firmly. She pulled me into a hug that smelled like vanilla and rain. "We've watched you carry them for years, Emma. It's okay to put the load down." I held on to her, sobbing silently into her shoulder. I'd spent my life trying to earn the title of good daughter from people who would never grant it. And here was a woman offering me a place in her family for free. When I finally pulled back, wiping my eyes, Linda cupped my face. "We're here, whatever you need. If you need someone to walk you down the aisle," she smiled. "Tom bought a new suit yesterday. He didn't want to presume, but he wanted to be ready." The tears came harder. "You'd do that?" "Honey, we'd be honored." 2 days later, I did something I'd been avoiding. I went to therapy. Doctor. Helen Park's office was in a quiet building in Fremont, all plants and soft lighting and furniture that seemed designed to lower your blood pressure. I'd been seeing her on and off for 2 years, mostly for work stress, occasionally for family issues I'd frame as minor. Today, I came in and sat on her gray couch and said, "I cut my parents out of my wedding." Dr. Park, a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair and reading glasses perpetually perched on her head, simply nodded. "Tell me about that decision." I told her everything. The text message, the email to Ashley, the confrontation, the red line through their names. When I finished, I said, "So, am I a terrible person?" "Emma," Dr. Park said slowly, "you keep saying I cut them off, but let me ask, who drew the first line?" "They did, by trying to steal my date." "Then what you're feeling isn't guilt, it's grief." I stared at her. "You're grieving the parents you needed," she continued. "The mother who would have supported you, the father who would have stood up. You're mourning a relationship that never existed. That's not guilt. That's loss, and loss is allowed." Something in my chest loosened. "But grief and guilt feel the same," I said. "They do. Which is why you need to keep asking. Did I cause harm, or did I stop allowing harm to be done to me? Those are very different things." By mid-September, the practical preparations consumed me. I called Victoria at the vineyard to finalize security arrangements. "I've briefed the team," she said, her voice crisp and professional. "We have Mr. Henderson, retired state trooper, heading up day of security. No one gets past the main gate without being on the authorized list and showing photo ID. What if they try to talk their way in? My mother can be very persuasive." "Emma, I've seen every flavor of family drama this industry has to offer. Henderson doesn't negotiate. If they're not on the list, they don't enter. If they refuse to leave, he calls the sheriff. It's that simple." "Thank you," I said. Relief washed over me. "Seriously, Victoria, thank you." "You're welcome." Now go enjoy your last few weeks as a bride-to-be. Let us worry about the perimeter. Jake and I spent an evening addressing invitations to our final 25 guests. It was meditative work, writing names and addresses by hand, sealing envelopes, affixing stamps. Each one felt like a small promise. You are invited. You are wanted. You are chosen. When we finished, Jake held up the stack. 25 people who actually love us. It looks so small compared to the original list. It looks real, Jake said. Would you rather have 80 people who show up out of obligation or 25 who show up out of love? I looked at the invitations. I thought about Aunt Carol, who I'd cut, Cousin Mark, the Hendersons from church, people who would have come, taken up space, eaten our food, and spent the whole time whispering about the family drama. 25, I said. We mailed them the next morning. No announcement on social media, no public declaration, total information blackout. If my mother wanted to keep spreading the story that I was postponing to spring, fine. Let her. The people who mattered knew the truth. The rumors reached my workplace on a Wednesday. I was in the break room at Redwood Meridian making my third coffee of the day when Jessica from the paralegal pool walked in. "Hey, Emma," she said, her voice dropping to that sympathetic whisper people use for funerals. "I heard about the postponement. I'm so sorry. It must be so stressful to have to move everything this close to the date." I paused, coffee pot in mid-pour. "Where did you hear that?" "Your aunt posted on Facebook that the family's regrouping for a spring wedding. She said—" Jessica hesitated. "She said you were being really mature about accommodating everyone's schedules." I set the pot down carefully. "Which aunt?" "Carol, I think. She's friends with my mom from their book club." Of course, Aunt Carol. The town crier. I forced a smile. Family logistics are always complicated. But Jake and I are in a really good place. We're handling it. It wasn't a lie. We were handling it by excluding them entirely. But I wasn't about to explain that in the break room. Jessica looked relieved to not have to navigate my breakdown. "Oh, good. Well, spring weddings are beautiful too." "They certainly are," I said, and walked back to my office. That evening, I did what I'd been avoiding. I checked Facebook. I didn't have an account anymore. I'd deleted it in law school when I realized it was just a highlight reel of everyone's best lies. But you didn't need an account to search names. I found Aunt Carol's page, public posts. No privacy settings, because Carol believed her opinions were community service. There it was, posted 4 days ago. Family update. Emma and Jake are moving their celebration to April to accommodate everyone's schedules. So grateful we could find a solution that works for the whole family. Praying for patience and flexibility for everyone involved. The comments were full of supportive responses. So mature of them. April will be lovely. What a blessing to have such a considerate daughter. I stared at the screen, rage building hot behind my eyes. She was rewriting reality in real time, making it sound like I had postponed, like I was the one being accommodating. My finger hovered over the keyboard. I could comment. I could say, "Actually, Aunt Carol, I'm getting married October 14th as planned. You're not invited because you're a gossip who enables my toxic mother." But I didn't, because engaging would make me look defensive. Engaging would give them ammunition. Engaging would make it about the drama instead of the facts. I closed the browser. Rachel's words from weeks ago echoed. "Silence is your power right now." Friday afternoon, Catherine called me into her office. My boss was a woman in her late 40s with steel gray hair and the kind of sharp intelligence that made junior associates nervous. She'd been practicing corporate law for 20 years. Nothing surprised her. But when I sat down, her expression was troubled. "Emma," she said carefully, "I received a strange phone call this morning from a woman claiming to be your mother." My stomach dropped. "What?" "She said you're having a mental health crisis, that you might need extended time off, that the firm should be aware you're not yourself right now." Catherine folded her hands on her desk. "I told her we don't discuss employee medical information with anyone, including family members. But Emma, what's really going on?" I felt heat creeping up my neck. My mother had weaponized my workplace. She'd tried to undermine me professionally. My mother, I said slowly, choosing each word carefully, is angry that I won't cancel my wedding to accommodate my brother's engagement party. She's been spreading misinformation to family members, and apparently now she's trying to damage my professional reputation. Catherine's eyes narrowed. Your brother's engagement party is on your wedding date? October 14th. Same day. They booked it 6 weeks ago, after Jake and I had already sent save the dates and paid deposits. And she wants you to move yours? Yes. Catherine sat back. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, Emma, I'm going to be direct with you. Take the day of your wedding off. And the week after. Paid. You've earned it. Relief flooded through me. Thank you. But, her voice turned serious. I also have to tell you, this kind of family drama can affect client confidence, particularly if your mother continues making calls like this. I need you to keep this contained. Can you do that? The relief curdled. Yes, I can contain it. Good. Now get back to work. And Emma? She almost smiled. Congratulations. I hope your wedding is exactly what you want it to be. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Jake, who was dead to the world after a double shift, and my brain wouldn't stop spinning. My mother had called my workplace. She'd tried to plant the idea that I was unstable. What else was she doing? Who else was she calling? At 2 a.m., I gave up and grabbed my phone. I opened Instagram. I'd deleted the app, but I could still access it via browser. Ashley's feed was a carefully curated nightmare. Post from 2 days ago. A throwback photo of Tyler as a child, maybe 7 or 8, gap-toothed and grinning. Caption: My baby showed me pics of him growing up. So lucky to be marrying into a family that actually values loyalty and togetherness. Hashtag family first, hashtag blessed, hashtag forever and always. The subtext was clear. Emma is the disloyal one. The comments were full of heart emojis and supportive messages. A few people I recognized from family gatherings. My finger hovered over the reply button. I wanted to type, Loyalty isn't letting someone steal your wedding date. Togetherness isn't forced capitulation. But I didn't. I almost did. I typed it out. My thumb was a millimeter from send. Then my phone buzzed, a text from Rachel. You're awake and looking at their social media, aren't you? I laughed, a wet, choked sound. How did you know? Because I know you, and I'm telling you, do not engage. You're winning by staying silent. The more they post, the crazier they look. It doesn't feel like I'm winning. That's because you're still in it. But trust me, 6 months from now, you'll look back and be so glad you didn't give them the satisfaction of a response. I stared at her text. Then I did something radical. I deleted Instagram from my browser history, deleted my bookmarks, made it as hard as possible for 2 a.m. Emma to spiral. You're right, I texted Rachel. I'm going dark. Good. Now go to sleep. You're getting married in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 14 days until I'd be Emma Mitchell. 14 days until the bridge burned completely. I plugged my phone in across the room, not on the nightstand, and forced myself to close my eyes. The bridal boutique was in a renovated warehouse in Ballard, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs and racks of white silk that looked like they cost more than my car. I'd made the appointment for a Saturday in late September, 21 days before the wedding. Rachel came with me. Just Rachel, not my mother, not an entourage of bridesmaids, not a camera crew for some emotional reveal moment. Just my best friend who showed up with 2 cups of coffee and said, "Let's find you some armor." The consultant, a woman named Chloe with asymmetrical hair and immaculate taste, brought out 4 dresses. The first was beautiful, layers of tulle, romantic and soft. I looked like a princess. It made me feel like I was playing dress-up. The second was vintage-inspired lace. Lovely, but it wasn't me. The third was a ball gown with a cathedral train, dramatic, but it was too much. It was the dress my mother would have chosen, the dress that screamed, "Look at me, look at how much this cost, look at what a production this is." Then Chloe brought out the fourth, silk crepe, architectural lines, minimalist, A deep V-back that made me stand straighter just looking at it. No embellishments, no lace, just clean, powerful structure. I put it on. When I walked out to the platform, Rachel was sitting on the velvet couch, scrolling her phone. She looked up and stopped. She didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't clap. She just stared for a long moment, then said quietly, That's not a wedding dress." My heart sank. "You don't like it?" "That's armor," she finished, standing up. "You look like you're about to conquer kingdoms." I turned to the three-way mirror. She was right. I didn't look soft or romantic or decorative. I looked powerful. I looked like a woman who'd made a choice and wouldn't apologize for it. I looked like someone who could walk down an aisle without her father and not feel incomplete. "I'll take it," I said. At the register, while Chloe was processing the payment, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I hadn't heard from in 3 weeks. "Dad, hi, sweetheart. Your mother showed me some spring venue options she's been researching for you. The garden conservatory would be perfect. Lots of natural light for photos. She's really trying, Emmy. Won't you give her a chance?" I stared at the screen. My father was still pretending, still trying to smooth things over, still acting like there was a compromise to be found, a middle ground where everyone could be happy. He was still choosing her. Rachel glanced over my shoulder. "Your dad?" "Yeah." "What are you going to say?" I thought about it. I could type the truth. "Dad, there is no spring wedding. There's only October 14th. You can come or not, but stop pretending there's a third option." But that would open a door I'd already closed. It would invite negotiation, debate, another attempt to make me fold. Instead, I typed, "Thanks for thinking of me." Polite, neutral, final. I hit send, then immediately muted his contact. Part of me, a stupid, hopeful part, had typed that bland response because I was still trying to keep the door cracked open, just an inch, just enough that maybe my father would surprise me, would choose me, would show up at the wedding and prove he could be the dad I needed. I was giving him a chance I knew he wouldn't take, and I hated myself for it. 2 weeks before the wedding. Early October in Seattle meant crisp mornings, the smell of rain on concrete, and leaves turning colors that made you understand why people wrote poetry about fall. Jake and I drove to the vineyard for a final walkthrough. Victoria met us at the entrance, clipboard in hand, looking efficient and unflappable. "Everything's on track," she said as we walked. "Ceremony side is perfect. We've got 25 chairs arranged in the semicircle you wanted. Tasting rooms set up for dinner. String quartet confirmed. Caterers doing final head count. Flowers arrive Friday. You're in good shape." The ceremony site was beautiful. A small clearing between rows of old grapevines, the leaves just starting to turn gold. The October light was perfect. Soft, warm, the kind of light that made everything look like a memory. "It's perfect," I whispered. "It will be," Victoria agreed. Then her expression turned serious. "Have you heard from them?" "No, radio silence for 3 weeks. That worries me more than if they were calling," Jake said. Victoria nodded. "In my experience, silence means they're planning something, but we're ready. Henderson and his team will be here at 2 p.m., 2 hours before ceremony start. No one gets past that gate without being on your list." As we walked back to the parking lot, my phone rang. Unknown number. Seattle area code. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Emma, hi, it's Alex from Luminous Photography." Alex had photographed 3 of my friends' weddings. His style was naturalistic, intimate, exactly what we wanted. "Hey Alex, what's up? I got a weird email this morning. Cancellation notice from your account, saying the wedding's postponed to spring and thanking me for my service. I just wanted to confirm before I book someone else for October 14th. My blood turned to ice. "What? I didn't cancel. I didn't send that." That's what I thought. The email seemed off. Came from emmarichardsonemail@gmail.com instead of your usual address. But I wanted to check. "Alex, we are not canceling. October 14th is happening. That email wasn't from me." "Got it. I'll mark it as spam. See you in 2 weeks." I hung up, hands shaking. Jake looked at me. What happened? Someone's trying to cancel our vendors. We spent the next hour in the parking lot making emergency calls. The caterer had received the same email, caught it in spam, thank God. The florist had received it. Your mother called yesterday too, she said, asking about spring availability. I told her we were booked. She seemed upset. The string quartet had received it. Someone had created a fake email address, one letter different from mine, and was systematically trying to dismantle our wedding. We need to call the police, Jake said. I stared at him. And say what? My mother is sending fake emails? Jake, I work in compliance. I know what harassment looks like legally. I struggled for words. This is family drama, not criminal. Emma, this is sabotage. I know, but if I file a police report against my own mother 3 weeks before my wedding, how does that look? To my firm? To clients? Rachel, who I'd called immediately after the photographer, said, document everything. Screenshot the emails, keep a log, but wait until after the wedding to decide about police. Right now, just lock everything down. I spent the evening becoming paranoid, changed every password, set up two-factor authentication on everything, created a brand new email address, emmajmitchellwedding@gmail.com, called every vendor personally. This is Emma. I'm calling to verify that you only take instructions from this phone number or my new email address. If anyone contacts you claiming to be me or my mother or anyone else, please call me immediately to confirm. By midnight, I'd spoken to 8 vendors. I was exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m., I was on my laptop checking that the venue still had our deposit, that the caterer hadn't been canceled, that the photographer still had us in his calendar. Jake found me in the living room, hunched over the computer in the dark. I'm just checking. You're spiraling. What if she calls them again? What if she pretends to be me? What if she tells the caterer I have COVID, or that we broke up, or... Emma. Jake closed the laptop. Look at me. I looked at him. His face was serious in the blue light from the street lamp outside. You're doing everything you can. You've changed passwords. You've called vendors. You've hired security. At some point, you have to trust that it's enough. But what if it's not? Then we deal with it. But you can't spend the next 2 weeks waiting for the other shoe to drop. He pulled me close. You're letting them steal your joy, and that's the one thing they can't have unless you give it to them. I leaned into him, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing. I'm so tired, Jake. I know. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of waiting for them to ruin things. I'm tired of fighting. So what if you stopped fighting? He said. What if you just let go? Trust that the boundaries are in place, and if they violate them, there are consequences. But right now, in this moment, you get to be a bride who's excited about her wedding, not a soldier defending a fortress. I closed my eyes, imagined it, letting go, not checking my phone every 10 minutes, not refreshing vendor websites, not lying awake playing out disaster scenarios. What if I'm finally choosing myself? I whispered, echoing his words from weeks ago. Then you're winning, he said, October 14th, 5:30 a.m. I woke to the sound of my own heart trying to break out of my chest. For a disorienting second, I didn't know where I was. The sheets were too soft. The air smelled of cedar and lavender instead of the city. Then memory crashed back. Stone Creek Inn, a boutique hotel a mile from the vineyard. Our wedding day. I sat up, clutching the duvet. My first thought, I'm doing something terrible. My second thought, they're my parents. How can I get married without them? My third thought, what if I'm making the biggest mistake of my life? Beside me, Jake was still asleep, one arm thrown over his face. He looked peaceful, like a man who'd made a decision and wasn't second-guessing it every 30 seconds. I, however, felt like a fugitive. The guilt was physical. It squeezed my lungs, made it hard to breathe. My brain played its greatest hits of worst-case scenarios. What if my mother shows up and makes a scene? What if people think I'm cruel? What if my father has a heart attack from stress? What if this destroys my career at Redwood Meridian? What if I'm alone at every holiday for the rest of my life? Huh. Jake's voice cut through the spiral. His eyes were open, watching me. You're awake. Can't sleep. My voice cracked. Jake, I'm having a panic attack. He sat up immediately, taking my hands. They were ice cold. Talk to me. What's happening? I keep thinking, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm being too harsh? They're my parents. People don't just cut off their parents over a wedding date. What if I'm the problem? Look at me. He waited until I met his eyes. That feeling, that voice telling you you're terrible, that's not your conscience. That's their programming. You've spent 29 years being trained to feel guilty whenever you don't give them what they want. But they tried to steal your wedding date, he said firmly. They lied to your family about you canceling. They sent fake emails to your vendors. They called your workplace claiming you were mentally unstable. Those are the facts. The facts, not feelings. Facts. I closed my eyes. Let the facts settle. You're not breaking anything, Jake continued. You're stepping out of a trap. And that feeling in your chest, that's not you inflicting a wound. That's you feeling the pins and needles of blood returning to a limb that's been asleep for decades. I took a deep breath, then another. The constriction loosened. Just slightly. Okay, I whispered. Okay. Now. He kissed my forehead. Go shower. Rachel will be here in an hour, and I promised my dad we wouldn't be late. By 8 a.m., the bridal suite was transformed, not into chaos, but into something that felt almost sacred. Rachel arrived first, carrying champagne and pastries and a portable speaker that immediately started playing music. Nothing wedding traditional, just songs we loved. Then came Melissa and Jordan, two friends from law school. They brought coffee and laughter and energy that was light, easy, completely devoid of the tension I'd always associated with getting ready for events. No criticism, no micromanaging, no one telling me to suck in my stomach or stand up straighter or change my lipstick. Just music, coffee, stupid jokes. The kind of morning that felt like a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. But I did one thing that confused Rachel. Why is your phone on the table? She asked, gesturing to my device sitting face up next to the champagne flutes. I want it on. You know they're going to call. Do you really want that energy? I need to know I can hear it ring and choose not to answer, I said. If I turn it off, I'm hiding. If I leave it on, I'm deciding. Rachel studied my face, then nodded slowly. Okay, power move. I respect it. The first call came at 9:15 a.m. The phone vibrated against wood, harsh, buzzing, cutting through the music. The screen lit up. Mom. The room went silent. My friends looked at me. The makeup artist paused, brush in mid-air. I watched the name pulse. Mom. 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 Every instinct screamed to pick up, to apologize, to fix it. Instead, I took a sip of champagne. I watched it ring until it went to voicemail. That's one, I said. The calls continued. 9:18 a.m. Dad. He never called, only when Mom made him. 9:23 a.m. Tyler. 9:31 a.m. Mom. Again. 9:45 a.m. Tyler. Again. Each time I watched the screen. Each time I chose not to answer. By 10:30, there had been 14 missed calls. Then a text preview lit up the screen. Dad. Emmy, please. Your mother is in tears. Just talk to her for 5 minutes. That's all she asks. My hand trembled slightly. Rachel saw. You okay? Yeah. I set the phone face down. I'm okay. At 11 a.m., there was a knock on the bridal suite door. Sharp, professional, not the soft knock of a friend. Rachel opened it. Victoria stood there, immaculate in her black suit, but her expression was tight. Emma, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have a situation at the main gate. My stomach dropped. Is it them? 3 vehicles, 9 people total requesting access. Victoria checked her tablet. Vehicle 1, Carol and Robert Morrison, your aunt and uncle. Vehicle 2, Mark Richardson and girlfriend, your cousin. Vehicle 3, she paused. Patricia Richardson, David Richardson, Tyler Richardson, and Ashley Monroe. The room went silent. They're demanding entry, Victoria continued. Your mother is claiming she has medical proxy due to your mental health crisis. Tyler is agitated. Ashley is filming. Your father is just sitting in the driver's seat. I stood up, still in my robe, hair half pinned. This was it, the moment of truth. I could let them in just to prove I'm fine. I could go down and talk to them. I could try one more time to make peace. Or I could hold the line. What do you want me to do? Victoria asked. Rachel stepped closer. Whatever you decide, we support you. I thought about the text message 3 weeks ago. Your wedding is postponed. I thought about the email to Ashley. Most of these people would rather go to a real party anyway. I thought about the fake emails to vendors. I thought about my mother calling my workplace. I looked at Victoria. They're not on the list, I said. My voice didn't shake. If they don't leave, call the sheriff. Rachel exhaled. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Victoria nodded once, sharp and approving. Mr. Henderson is ex-state trooper. He's got this. She turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, Emma, you're doing the right thing. Mr. Henderson, a man in his 60s built like a brick wall with 30 years of law enforcement experience, approached the black SUV. Patricia rolled down the window. I'm Emma's mother, she said imperiously. There's been a misunderstanding. I need to speak with the person in charge. I'm in charge, ma'am, and you're not on the authorized guest list. That's absurd. I'm her mother. She's clearly having some kind of breakdown. I have medical proxy. Ma'am, you're on private property without authorization. I need you to turn around and leave. Tyler jumped out of the car. This is bullshit. That's my sister in there. You can't keep me from my own sister's wedding. Henderson stepped forward. Sir, you need to get back in the vehicle. Or what? Tyler shoved at Henderson's chest. Mistake. Henderson, with practiced efficiency, caught Tyler's wrist, spun him around, and physically escorted him back to the SUV. Not roughly, but firmly. That's assault! Patricia screamed from the car. You just assaulted my son. Ma'am, that was lawful restraint of someone who initiated physical contact with security personnel. If you and your party don't vacate this property in the next 60 seconds, I will call the sheriff and have you all arrested for trespassing and harassment. In the back seat, Ashley filmed everything on her phone, eyes wide with what might have been fear or might have been glee at the content. David, in the driver's seat, said nothing, just stared straight ahead. Patricia's last words screamed from the window as David finally put the car in reverse. Tell her she's destroyed this family. I hope her wedding was worth it. Back in the bridal suite, I didn't know the details yet. I just knew Victoria returned 15 minutes later and said, They're gone. Did they leave peacefully? Victoria's expression was carefully neutral. They left. That's what matters. Rachel handed me a glass of champagne. To boundaries that hold. I drank. My hand was shaking. But not from fear. From relief. The siege was over. The gates had held. They were gone. The late afternoon sun turned the vineyard into something out of a painting, all golden light and russet leaves and long shadows that made everything look softer than it was. It was 4 p.m. The ceremony would start in 15 minutes. I stood in the vestibule of the main house, listening to the string quartet begin their opening piece. A cello arrangement that was achingly beautiful, the kind of music that made you feel things you didn't have words for. Through the French doors, I could see the ceremony site. 25 chairs arranged in a tight semicircle between the oldest vines on the property, no rows of empty seats marking absence. Just a small circle of people we'd chosen. Tom Mitchell, Jake's father, stood beside me in his new suit, looking uncomfortable but proud. He wasn't my father. He'd never try to be, but he was a father who'd chosen to show up. You ready, kiddo? He asked, his voice gruff with emotion. I looked at him, thought about David, who was probably sitting in a car somewhere or standing at Tyler's hastily thrown-together party, paralyzed by his own passivity. I felt a sharp pang of loss. but it was swift, like a paper cut, and then it was gone. "I'm ready," I said. I took his arm. The music swelled, the cello carrying the melody up into the canopy of oak trees. We stepped out onto the grass. The moment I appeared, all 25 guests stood. There was no polite murmuring, no critical scanning of my dress or hair, just a collective intake of breath, a wave of genuine warmth that hit me physically. I saw Rachel, tears already streaming down her face, not even trying to hide them. I saw Linda Mitchell clutching a handkerchief, beaming. I saw Catherine from work, who'd given me the week off, nodding with quiet approval. I saw Jake's co-workers from the fire station, these big guys in suits they clearly didn't wear often, grinning like idiots. And then I saw Jake. He was standing beneath an archway of woven vines and white roses, hands clasped in front of him. His knuckles were white from gripping so hard. He wasn't looking at the guests, wasn't looking at his watch, wasn't looking anywhere but at me. When our eyes locked, his shoulders dropped an inch, like he'd been holding his breath since I disappeared into the bridal suite and only now remembered how to exhale. I started walking. Every step felt like reclamation, every step away from the version of myself that was a daughter, a fixer, a doormat. Every step toward the version that was a wife, a partner, a woman who knew the word no. I didn't look back. The impulse was there, phantom reflex to check if my mother was rushing up behind me, if Tyler was there to demand attention. But I kept my eyes forward. I knew what was behind me. Behind me was conditional love. Ahead was freedom. When we reached the altar, Tom patted my hand once, solid, grounding, and placed it in Jake's. "Take care of her," Tom whispered to his son, loud enough for the front row to hear. "Or I'll kick your ass." Jake laughed, a wet, choked sound. "I know, Dad." Tom stepped back, and it was just us. The officiant was Michael Torres, Rachel's younger brother, who'd gotten ordained online specifically for this. He was in his early 30s, a public defender with kind eyes and the kind of voice that made you listen. "We're not here to join two families," Michael began, looking out at the small circle of guests. "Because that's not what's happening today. We're here to witness two people building a new world, a world they're creating together brick by brick." He talked about grapevines, how they have to struggle through rocky soil to produce the best fruit, how the struggle makes the wine complex, valuable. "Emma and Jake have had to struggle to get here," Michael said, "to protect this day, to protect each other. And that struggle, it's already made what they have stronger than most marriages that start easy." I felt Jake's thumb brush across my knuckles. Then it was time for vows. I pulled a small folded piece of paper from the hidden pocket I'd insisted the dress designer include. My hands trembled slightly, but my voice, when I spoke, was clear. "Jake," I said, looking directly into his dark eyes. "For a long time, I thought love was a transaction. I thought I had to earn it by being useful, by being silent, by making myself small so other people could be big." I took a breath, heard a sniffle from the audience, probably Rachel. "I promise you today, I will never shrink for you. I promise partnership without self-erasure. I promise to let you carry me when I'm tired and to carry you when you're weak, but never to carry the weight of the world alone again. I choose you not because I need you to fix me, but because you're the only person who never asked me to be broken." Jake's eyes were shining. He wiped a tear with his thumb, not bothering to hide it. When he spoke, his voice was rough with emotion. "Emma, I promise to protect the space you take up. I promise to be the wall you can lean on, not the wall that boxes you in. I promise that in this marriage, your feelings will never be secondary. You are my primary. You are my only. And I promise, when your family history whispers that you're not worth fighting for, I will be there to remind you. You are worth every single battle." My vision blurred, tears hot on my cheeks. "By the power vested in me by the internet and the state of Washington," Michael said, grinning, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. Jake, kiss your bride before she changes her mind." Jake didn't hesitate. He pulled me in, and the kiss was not polite, not staged for photos. It was desperate and triumphant and tasted like salt from both our tears. It was the seal on a treaty we'd written in blood and ink and 18 months of planning. Cheers exploded around us. Not polite golf claps, raucous cheering. Rachel pumped her fist in the air. Tom let out a whoop that probably scared birds 3 counties over. Someone whistled so loud it echoed off the hills. The string quartet launched into something joyful and upbeat. We turned to face our guests, hands raised like boxers who'd just won the fight of their lives. And we walked back up that aisle. I felt lightheaded, dizzy with happiness so pure it almost hurt. We'd done it. We'd actually fucking done it. The tasting room had been transformed. One long wooden table, the kind you'd see in a Tuscan villa, set for 25. Candles everywhere, their light warm and flickering. Wine glasses catching the glow. Plates of food that smelled like rosemary and garlic and butter. The string quartet had moved inside, playing softly in the corner. Cello covers of songs Jake and I cooked dinner to. It felt less like a wedding reception and more like a family dinner, which was exactly what we'd wanted. We took our seats at the center of the table, Tom on my left, Linda on Jake's right. Rachel and Melissa and Jordan clustered nearby. Everyone talking, laughing, passing bread and wine. No assigned seats, no rigid formality. Just 25 people who genuinely wanted to be here. Halfway through the first course, burrata with heirloom tomatoes and aged balsamic, Rachel stood up, tapping her wine glass with a fork. "Speech time," she announced. The table quieted. Rachel looked at me, and her expression was soft, proud. "I've known Emma since law school," she began. "I've watched her ace every exam, win every argument, solve every impossible problem, except one. The problem of putting herself first." A few knowing chuckles from the law school crew. For years, I watched her bend herself into shapes to fit other people's needs. And I kept thinking, when is it going to be Emma's turn? She raised her glass. Today is Emma's turn. Today, she chose herself. She chose Jake. She chose this. Rachel gestured to the table, the candles, the intimate circle. Over obligation. Over guilt. Over family politics that would have drained her dry. She looked directly at me. "To Emma and Jake, may you always choose each other, especially when the world tells you not to." "To Emma and Jake!" the table chorused. I wiped my eyes with my napkin. Jake squeezed my hand under the table. Then Tom Mitchell stood, clearing his throat. He was not a man comfortable with public speaking. He was a retired electrician who'd rather fix your wiring than tell you his feelings. But he stood there in his new suit, looking at Jake with unmistakable pride. "When Jake first told us about Emma," Tom said, his voice steady, he said, "Dad, I met someone who makes me want to be the person she thinks I already am." Linda made a soft sound beside Jake. "Emma, you've given our son the greatest gift," Tom continued. "You see him clearly, the good and the flawed, and you love him anyway. That's rare. That's real." He turned to Jake. "And son, your job now is to do the same for her. See her clearly. Love her fiercely. Protect her relentlessly. Not from the world. She can handle the world. Protect her from people who would try to make her small again." Tom's voice thickened. "Welcome to the family, Emma. For real this time. You're ours now." He sat down quickly, like he'd used up his yearly allotment of words. I couldn't stop crying. Happy tears, sad tears, relieved tears, all mixed together until I didn't know which was which. Linda leaned across Jake and squeezed my hand. "You're our daughter now," she whispered, and I believed her. The food kept coming. Short ribs so tender they fell apart. Truffle risotto that made people close their eyes. Roasted vegetables with herbs from the vineyard's garden. Wine poured freely. Reds from the estate that tasted like earth and autumn. No one checked their phones, no one left early, no one complained or gossiped or created drama. It was just good. Purely, simply good. But underneath the joy, I felt it, my phone in my clutch, buzzing periodically against the leather. I ignored it. But I knew. They weren't done. Around 8 p.m., as dessert was being served, individual lemon tarts with raspberry coulis, Victoria appeared in the doorway. She caught my eye, gestured subtly. I excused myself and met her in the hallway outside the tasting room. "Congratulations," Victoria said first. "It was beautiful, Emma. Truly. Thank you. For everything." "You're welcome." She paused. "I have a situation report. Do you want it now, or should I wait until tomorrow?" Jake had followed me out. He stood behind me, hand on my lower back. "Tell us now." Victoria consulted her tablet. At 4:30 p.m., right as the processional music started, a black SUV returned to the property and attempted to bypass the secondary security checkpoint on the service road. My stomach clenched. The driver, your father, claimed they'd been given permission to park in the upper vineyard lot. Mr. Henderson informed him that was false. Your mother exited the vehicle and demanded to speak to whoever's in charge. "What did she do?" I asked quietly. Victoria's voice remained professional, but I could hear the edge of disbelief underneath. "Your mother told Henderson that she was the mother of the bride and had authority to override vendor contracts. She claimed there had been a misunderstanding, that she needed to get inside to, and I quote, fix the setup before guests saw it." Jake's hand tightened on my back. "Henderson informed her that the person in charge was Emma Mitchell." Victoria smiled slightly at my new last name. "And that Emma Mitchell had given explicit instructions that no unauthorized persons were permitted entry." "How did she react?" "She tried the mental health angle again, told Henderson you were having a breakdown, that she was your medical proxy." Victoria looked at me. "Henderson asked for documentation proving medical proxy status. She couldn't provide any because obviously she doesn't have it. And then? Your brother exited the vehicle." I closed my eyes. "Tyler started yelling that this was his day too, and that you were ruining his engagement party. He was quite loud, claimed you'd specifically scheduled your wedding to sabotage him." Victoria's tone went dry. "The timeline issues with that claim were pointed out to him. He became more agitated." "Oh, God." "He tried to push past Henderson to get to the gate. Mr. Henderson physically escorted him back to the vehicle, using appropriate restraint techniques. No injuries. Your mother began screaming that Henderson had assaulted her son. Henderson very calmly informed her that what she witnessed was lawful restraint of an individual who'd initiated physical contact with security personnel." Victoria checked her notes. "Henderson then informed your family that they were trespassing on private property and had 60 seconds to vacate, or he would call the sheriff's department and have them arrested for trespassing and harassment. Did they leave?" Your father, who'd remained silent in the driver's seat the entire time, put the car in reverse and drove away. "What about my mother?" Victoria's expression softened slightly. "Her last words, screamed from the window as they left, 'Tell my daughter she's destroyed this family. I hope her wedding was worth it.'" The hallway went very quiet. I could hear the laughter from the tasting room, the cello playing something soft and sweet, the clink of glasses. On one side of a wall, joy. On this side, the wreckage of the family I'd cut away. "Are you okay?" Victoria asked gently. I thought about it. Really thought. Was I okay? I felt grief. Heavy, cold, unavoidable. Grief for the mother who should have been adjusting my veil, not screaming at security guards. Grief for the brother who should have been toasting me, not trying to crash my ceremony. Grief for the father who drove the getaway car instead of choosing me. It hurt. It would always hurt, probably, like a bone that healed crooked. Never quite right again. But underneath the grief was something else. Relief. They'd tried. They'd shown up, made demands, caused a scene, played their greatest hits. And the boundaries had held. The gates stayed closed. Henderson didn't let them through. My wedding happened exactly as planned. I'd won. "I'm relieved," I said finally. "I'm sad, but I'm relieved it's over." Victoria nodded. "For what it's worth, Emma, I've been doing this job for 15 years. I've seen every flavor of family drama, and I've never seen anyone handle it with more grace than you did today. You protected your peace. That takes real strength." She squeezed my shoulder once, then headed back toward her office. Jake pulled me into his arms. "You okay?" he asked, echoing Victoria. "Yeah." I leaned into him. I thought I'd feel guilty or angry, but I just feel free. "Good, because we have a party to get back to, and I believe there's cake." We returned to the tasting room. No one had noticed we were gone, too busy laughing over Tom's story about the time Jake tried to rescue a baby raccoon and got bit. The cake was small, 2 tiers, simple white buttercream with fresh flowers. We cut it together, fed each other bites like normal people instead of smashing it in each other's faces. By 9:30, people started filtering out. Early flights tomorrow, kids with babysitters, work on Monday, but no one left grudgingly. They left with long hugs, with promises to visit, with genuine joy on their faces. Rachel was one of the last to go. "I'm so proud of you," she said, holding both my hands. "Watching you today, you looked so free, Em, like you'd put down a weight you'd been carrying your whole life." "I did," I said, "and you helped me do it." That's what best friends are for. By 10 p.m., it was just Jake and me in the tasting room. Victoria's staff had cleared most of the dishes but left us a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. We sat at the now empty long table, just the 2 of us, surrounded by the flickering remains of candles. "We did it," I said. "We really fucking did," Jake replied. We clinked glasses. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Any of it?" I thought about my mother's last words. "She's destroyed this family." I thought about the empty chairs where my parents should have sat. I thought about Tyler trying to push past a security guard. Then I thought about Tom walking me down the aisle, Linda's hug, Rachel's speech, the 25 people who'd shown up not out of obligation but out of love. "No," I said, "not even a little bit." We were scheduled to leave for the airport at midnight, a charter flight to the Caribbean that cost almost as much as the venue but was worth every penny to avoid crowds and questions and the possibility of running into someone from my family. But at 9:45 p.m., while we were still at the vineyard finishing our wine, Rachel's phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Her expression changed. "Em, you need to see this." "Is it bad?" "It's complicated." She handed me her phone. Instagram, Ashley's account, posted at 5 p.m. during our cocktail hour. A video, shaky phone footage of the gate confrontation. The video showed Patricia getting out of the SUV, gesturing animatedly at Henderson. Audio was muffled, but you could hear her say, "I'm her mother! You can't keep me from my own daughter's wedding!" Henderson's calm response, "Ma'am, you're not on the authorized guest list." Then Tyler shoving at Henderson. Henderson efficiently restraining him. Tyler yelling, "This is bullshit!" Patricia screaming, "You just assaulted my son!" The video ended with the SUV driving away. Caption: "When you try to support family but get blocked by hired security, all we wanted was to check on her. This is what happens when someone has a breakdown and cuts off everyone who loves them. Pray for the Richardson family, #family first, #heartbroken, #toxic behavior." The post had over 3,000 likes, 800 comments. I scrolled through the comments, my stomach tight. The first few were supportive of Ashley. "OMG, poor Tyler, Emma sounds crazy." "Who hires security for their wedding?" "Praying for this family." But then the tone shifted. "Wait, you tried to crash her wedding on her date, and you're the victim?" 432 likes. "Let me get this straight. You booked a party on your fiancé's sister's wedding date, and now you're mad she didn't invite you? Main character syndrome much?" 891 likes. "Ma'am, this is literally the plot of every toxic family drama on Reddit." YTA. 1.2K likes. "The fact that you filmed this and posted it thinking it would make you look good is wild." 2.1K. Likes a photo of Tyler and Ashley at what looked like my parents' living room, hastily decorated with balloons. Tyler looked furious. Ashley was wiping away a tear that seemed suspiciously posed. Caption: "Tonight was supposed to be a celebration of love. Instead, my own sister chose to ruin it by having security threaten to arrest our mother. She locked us out, called us crazy, and humiliated our family. I've never felt so betrayed. Some people would burn down their own family just to be center of attention. Comments. Bro, you literally tried to have a party on her wedding date. What did you think was gonna happen? My own sister ruined my night. It was her wedding day, you absolute walnut. The lack of self-awareness is staggering. Ashley, please tell me you're seeing these red flags. Rachel was watching me read. It gets better, she said. Keep scrolling. I did. The story had been picked up by a wedding-shaming Reddit forum. Someone had screenshotted the whole thing and posted it with the title, Bride hires security to keep toxic family from crashing wedding on the date they tried to steal. Family posts videos playing victim. AITA judgment please. The thread had 12,000 upvotes and 4,800 comments. Top comment, NTA, OP set boundaries, family stomped all over them, got consequences, shocked Pikachu face, classic. See, someone had also made a TikTok explaining the whole timeline, how Ashley and Tyler booked their party 6 weeks ago, tried to get Emma to cancel, spread rumors that she was postponing, then tried to crash the actual wedding. The TikTok had 800,000 views. A wedding planning Twitter account with 200,000 followers had posted, PSA, this is what wedding sabotage looks like. Thread. The thread laid out, point by point. Family member books competing event on your date. Spreads rumors you're canceling. Contacts your vendors trying to cancel. Shows up uninvited to crash. Films confrontation and posts claiming you're the problem. Gets dragged by the internet for main character syndrome. The verdict from the internet. Emma did nothing wrong. I stared at Rachel's phone. The entire internet is on your side, Rachel said. Ashley and Tyler just publicly self-destructed. But this doesn't fix anything with my family. No, but it does create a public record. Your mother can't control the narrative anymore. Everyone can see exactly what happened. Jake had been reading over my shoulder. Em, do you want to respond? Post your side? I thought about it. I could post the contracts proving October 14th was always my date. I could share the fake cancellation emails. I could write a detailed explanation of everything they'd done. I could fight, but I was so tired of fighting. No, I said. Let them expose themselves. I'm done explaining. I handed Rachel her phone back. I don't want to see anymore. I don't want to know what else they post. I just want to let it go. Rachel smiled. That's growth, babe. At 10:15 p.m., Jake and I left the vineyard in a town car headed for the airport. As we pulled away, I looked back one last time at the lights in the tasting room, the glow of the ceremony site. We'd gotten married. Despite everything, we'd done it. My phone, sitting in my lap, buzzed constantly. Texts, Instagram notifications, Facebook messages from people I hadn't heard from in years. I picked it up, looked at the screen, 172 unread messages, and I powered it off, held the power button until the screen went black and stayed black. That's it? Jake asked. That's it. For the next 10 days, I'm unreachable. No family, no social media, no drama, just us and a beach and absolutely nothing else. What if there's an emergency? Then they can call you, but I'm done being available to people who only want to hurt me. I dropped the phone into my bag, zipped it closed. The physical sensation of that zipper closing felt like a door locking. Final. Complete. As the car merged onto the highway toward the airport, Jake took my hand. How does it feel? I thought about it. Cataloged my emotions. Grief? Yes, still there. Probably always would be. Relief? Overwhelming. Guilt? Surprisingly minimal. Fear? Gone. It feels, I said slowly, like I can finally breathe. The city lights blurred past. We were leaving Seattle, leaving the vineyard, leaving the smoking remains of the family I'd set fire to by refusing to burn myself to keep them warm. Mrs. Mitchell, Jake said, testing out my new name. That's me. I'm proud of you. For what? For choosing yourself, for holding the line, for not letting them steal this from us. I leaned my head on his shoulder. We did it together. Yeah, we did. The plane was small, 12 seats, plush leather, champagne already waiting. The kind of luxury that made you feel like you were in a movie. As we settled into our seats and the pilots began their pre-flight check, I looked out the window at Seattle's lights below. Somewhere out there, my mother was probably ranting to anyone who would listen about how I'd ruined everything. Tyler was probably refreshing his Instagram, watching his post ratio get worse. Ashley was probably calculating whether this relationship was still worth the social media damage. David was probably sitting in silence, wondering how it all went so wrong, but still not willing to stand up and make it right. And me? I was leaving. Not running away. Not hiding. Just leaving. Going somewhere they couldn't follow, couldn't call, couldn't reach. For the first time in 29 years, I was completely, gloriously inaccessible. The plane began to taxi. Jake squeezed my hand. "To October 14th, he said, raising his champagne glass. "To October 14th, I echoed. "The day I married you. The day you chose yourself." "Same thing," I said. We clinked glasses as the plane lifted off and Seattle fell away below us. All lights and water and the past, getting smaller and smaller until it was just a memory. And I didn't look back, not once. Turks and Caicos existed in a different dimension from Seattle. The villa Jake and I had rented was perched on a cliff overlooking water so blue it looked photoshopped, all turquoise and sapphire and colors that didn't seem real. The air was thick, humid, smelling of salt and hibiscus. The only sounds were waves crashing against rock and the occasional call of seabirds. For the first 48 hours, I slept. Not the restless, anxious sleep I'd been surviving on for months. Real, deep, dreamless sleep. The kind that comes when your nervous system finally believes the danger has passed. Jake let me. Didn't wake me for meals or activities or sunsets. Just let me hibernate. When I finally emerged, around noon on day 3, he was on the terrace reading a book, and he looked up with a smile that was pure relief. "There she is." "How long was I out?" 14 hours this time. 16 the night before. I sat in the chair next to him, still in pajamas, and stared at the ocean. "I think my body is recalibrating." "You've been running on adrenaline for weeks. Now you don't have to. Your system's catching up." He was right. The physical symptoms of trauma, the tension headaches, the knot in my stomach, the tightness in my chest that made it hard to breathe, were dissolving, like ice melting in sun. We fell into an easy rhythm. Mornings, coffee on the terrace, watching the water change colors. Afternoons, swimming, reading trashy novels, napping in hammocks. Evenings, cooking together in the villa's kitchen, opening wine, talking about anything except my family. It was the first time in my adult life I'd gone more than 3 days without checking email or worrying about someone else's crisis. "You look different," Jake observed on day 4. We were in the pool, floating on our backs, staring at clouds. "Different how?" "Lighter, like you've been carrying a weighted vest for years and finally took it off." I thought about that. I feel like I've been holding my breath for 29 years. And I can finally exhale. But underneath the peace, a question hummed. What happens when we go home? I'd left my phone powered off since the plane. It sat in the bottom of my suitcase, buried under clothes, deliberately hard to access. But day 5, I woke up thinking about it. Jake was still asleep. I padded into the living room, dug through my suitcase, and found the phone. My thumb hovered over the power button. "Do you really want to know?" I pressed it. The phone took its time powering on, slow, reluctant, like it knew what was coming. Then, vibration, the notification avalanche, 247 unread text messages, 89 missed calls, 412 unread emails, Instagram, 50+ notifications. I felt my chest tighten. Just voicemails, I told myself. Just check the voicemails from Dad. Then turn it back off. I had 7 voicemails from David. The first few were short, apologetic, stilted. It's Dad. Call me when you can." But the one from day 3, left at 2:47 a.m., was different. His voice cracked on the first word. "Emma, it's Dad. Your mother. She's not doing well. She's been in bed for 2 days, won't eat, just keeps crying and showing people the videos Ashley posted, trying to get them to agree with her that you're the villain. But people aren't agreeing. The comments online, they're brutal, and she can't handle it. Tyler and Ashley broke up. Did you know that? The engagement party was a disaster. Only 12 people showed up because everyone else was confused about whether your wedding was still happening or if they should go to that or Tyler's thing. Ashley dumped him 2 days later, said she needs space from family drama. Tyler moved back in with us. He hasn't left his room except to yell at your mother about how this is all her fault. And I need to say something I should have said a long time ago. I watched your mother try to steal your wedding date. I watched her lie to the family about you canceling. I watched her forward your guest list to Ashley. I drove her to your venue to try to crash your ceremony, and I said nothing. I told myself I was keeping the peace. But Emma, there's no peace in watching someone you love get hurt and doing nothing about it. I chose wrong. I chose her comfort over your happiness. I chose Tyler's feelings over your entire wedding. I chose silence over standing up. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't know if I can forgive myself. But I need you to know, you were right. About all of it. And I was a coward. I saw the photo Rachel posted. You looked so happy, Em. So free. I'm sorry I wasn't there to walk you down the aisle. I'm sorry I wasn't the father you deserved. I love you, Emmy. Even if you never want to see me again, I love you. The voicemail ended. I sat there on the couch, phone pressed to my ear, tears streaming down my face. Jake found me 20 minutes later, still sitting there, still crying. Em? He sat down next to me. What happened? I played him the voicemail. When it ended, Jake was quiet for a long moment. He sounds genuine, Jake said carefully. He does. What do you want to do? I don't know. My voice was thick. He's sorry. But sorry doesn't erase 29 years of him choosing her over me. Sorry doesn't change the fact that he stood there and watched her destroy me and did nothing. No, it doesn't. But Jake, he's my dad, and for the first time in my life, he's actually admitting he was wrong. He's not making excuses. He's not blaming me. He's just taking responsibility. Jake pulled me against him. So what do you do with that? I wiped my eyes. I don't know, but I know I can't deal with it right now. Not on my honeymoon, not when I'm finally starting to feel okay. Then don't. I looked at the phone in my hand, at the 240 other unread messages, the missed calls from Patricia, the texts from Tyler, probably full of rage and blame. I didn't open them. I went back to voicemail, deleted everything except David's messages. I wanted to keep those, to listen again later when I could process them. Then I powered the phone off. I'll think about it when we get home, I said. But not now. Right now, I'm on my honeymoon with my husband, and nothing else matters. Jake kissed my forehead. Good choice. We spent the rest of the trip in our bubble, swimming, reading, making love in the middle of the afternoon because we could, cooking elaborate meals at midnight, talking about the future, where we'd live, when we'd start trying for kids, what our life would look like now that we'd burned down the old one. By day 10, when we had to pack and head to the airport, I felt like a different person. Not healed. Healing isn't linear, and I knew I'd have bad days ahead. But free. Genuinely, actually free. The cage door was open, and I'd walked out. Coming home to Seattle felt like re-entering reality after a dream. Our Capitol Hill apartment looked the same, smelled the same, slightly stale air, the faint scent of the candle we'd burned before leaving. But we were different. The people who'd left 10 days ago weren't the same ones coming back. It was a Thursday afternoon. We'd landed at noon, dealt with customs, taken an Uber home. Now we stood in our living room, surrounded by luggage, looking at the mail piled on the counter. Triage, Jake said, like an ER. What's actually urgent? Work emails, vendor thank yous, friends checking in. And the not urgent? I thought about my phone, still powered off in my bag. Patricia, Tyler, the extended family drama. Then we start with urgent. I turned my phone on for the second time. This time, I was prepared. The notifications flooded in, but I didn't panic. I went straight to voicemail and started listening, pen and paper ready. Patricia's voicemails, chronological. Day 2. I have never been so humiliated in my life. You had security manhandle your brother. You threatened to have me arrested. After everything we've sacrificed for you, you're dead to us until you apologize. Day 5. People are asking me what happened at your wedding. I have to keep explaining that you're going through something. Do you know how embarrassing this is? How could you do this to us? Day 8. Fine, don't call. We'll plan Tyler's wedding without you. You're clearly too selfish to be involved anyway. Her voice progressed from rage to martyrdom to cold dismissal, a predictable arc. You're a psycho. Ashley broke up with me because of you. Everyone thinks I'm the problem now because of your little stunt. This is your fault. Mom says you're on your honeymoon. Must be nice to just run away from your problems. Real mature, Emma. Hope you're happy. You destroyed our family. You destroyed my relationship. For what? So you could have your perfect princess day? Pathetic. I read them without emotion. They were so predictable they were almost boring. Then, David's messages. There were 9 more voicemails beyond the 2 a.m. one I'd heard in Turks. Day 4. Hi, sweetheart. Just wanted to say, Tom Mitchell called me, Jake's dad. He wanted me to know what I missed. He sent me photos from the ceremony, told me about walking you down the aisle, about his speech, and then he said, I got to be Emma's father for a day. I'm sorry you couldn't be. His voice broke. I robbed myself of that moment. I robbed you of having your dad there. And for what? Day 6. I'm in therapy. Started 3 days ago. I should have done this 30 years ago. I know one session doesn't fix anything, but I wanted you to know I'm trying. Day 9. Your mother found out I've been leaving you voicemails. She said if I keep trying to contact you, I'm choosing you over the family. Like it's a binary choice. Like I can't love my daughter and also acknowledge she was treated terribly. I paused the voicemail. My hand was shaking. He'd stood up to her, even a little bit. I sat at our dining table with my phone, a legal pad, and a cup of coffee that had gone cold while I listened to messages. Jake sat across from me, giving me space, but staying close. What are you thinking? He asked. I'm thinking about who I want in my life going forward. I looked at the legal pad where I'd been making notes. Patricia and Tyler, they haven't changed. They won't change. They're still blaming me, still making themselves victims, still demanding apologies I don't owe. And your dad? My dad. I paused. He's trying, actually trying, but I don't know if it's real yet, or if he'll revert back the moment Patricia applies pressure. So what do you do? I picked up my phone. Her number, her email, her social media. Complete information blackout. It wasn't an act of rage. It was an act of preservation. I typed out a final text before blocking. I will not be responding to further messages. Continuing to contact me will be considered harassment. I wish you well. Sent, then, block. He'd already blocked me on Instagram, I noticed, but I blocked his number, his email, everything else. No final message for him. He wouldn't read it anyway. Third, I drafted an email to David. I wrote it out longhand first, edited 3 times, then typed it carefully. Dad, I received your voicemails. Thank you for finally saying what I needed to hear. But apologies without changed behavior are just words. I've heard sorry before. I need to see different. I'm not ready to have you back in my life yet. Maybe someday, but not now. The wound is too fresh. If you're serious about therapy and change, keep going. Do it for yourself, not to earn your way back to me. If in 6 months you're still in therapy, still standing up to Mom, still setting boundaries with Tyler, then we can talk about coffee. 1 hour, public place, no pressure. Until then, I need space. I don't hate you, Dad, but I can't let you hurt me again while I'm still healing from the last time. Love, Emma. I read it over. It was firm, but not cruel. Honest, but left a door cracked. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Jake read over my shoulder. That's fair. That's really fair, Em. I feel like I'm giving him a chance he doesn't deserve. Maybe. But you're giving him a chance with conditions, with boundaries. That's different than just letting him back in. I closed my laptop. Now what? Now we unpack. We do laundry. We go to work on Monday. We live our lives. It sounded almost too simple, but maybe that was the point. 2 weeks post-honeymoon. Life was returning to something resembling normal. I went back to work at Redwood Meridian. Jake went back to his shifts at the fire station. We settled back into our routines, but there were ripples, consequences, the kind you don't see coming until they hit. Monday morning, Catherine called me into her office. "Welcome back," she said. "How was the honeymoon?" "Perfect. Thank you again for the time off." "Of course." She gestured for me to sit. Her expression turned serious. "Emma, we need to talk about the Johnson account." My stomach dropped. Johnson was our biggest client, a tech company with complex regulatory needs. I'd been angled to take lead on their next compliance audit. "What about it?" "I'm giving it to Marcus." Marcus was another senior analyst, competent but less experienced than me. "Why?" Catherine folded her hands. "The social media situation reached some of our clients. Johnson's CEO asked if our firm had internal stability issues. I assured them it was personal, not professional, but Emma, you were right that this kind of drama can affect client confidence." I felt heat creeping up my neck. "So I'm being punished for setting boundaries with my family?" "You're not being punished, but you are experiencing consequences. Fair or not, clients want to know their compliance analyst isn't distracted by personal issues." She softened slightly. "You'll still work on the account, just not as lead. And Em, this is temporary. Keep your head down, do excellent work, and by Q2, you'll be back in consideration for lead roles." I walked out of Catherine's office feeling numb. I'd done everything right professionally. I'd documented the harassment. I'd kept the drama out of the office. I'd taken minimal time off, and I was still facing career consequences. Was it worth it? I thought about October 14th, the vineyard, Jake's vows, the 25 people who showed up because they loved us. Yes, I decided, still worth it, but the price is higher than I expected. Social impact hit next. Extended family split predictably. Aunt Carol, Uncle Bob, Cousin Mark, Team Patricia. Complete silence from them. I was dead to that branch of the family tree. But other cousins reached out privately. Cousin Jennifer. "Emma, I saw everything online. I believe you, but I can't publicly support you because Mom will disown me. I'm sorry. I'm a coward like your dad was. But I wanted you to know you did the right thing." Cousin David from Dad's side. "Your mom called asking us to talk sense into you. I told her I didn't see anything sensible about trying to steal someone's wedding date. She hasn't spoken to me since. Welcome to the club." Some stayed neutral. "We love you both, staying out of it." The family fracture was real, permanent probably. Then I got a text from an unknown number. "Emma, it's Ashley." I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. "I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. For everything. Tyler and I broke up. I see now what was happening. Your family is a lot. I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. Anyway, I'm sorry. You deserved better. A." I stared at the message. Ashley, the woman who'd posted me as the villain, who'd filmed my family being escorted away, who'd tried to steal my wedding date, was apologizing. I didn't know what to do with it. So I did nothing. Didn't respond, didn't block. Just acknowledged it existed and moved on. The Tyler and Ashley situation, via social media because I couldn't help myself. Ashley's Instagram had scrubbed all photos of Tyler. Her bio changed from engaged to just a flower emoji. Tyler's last post, a moody black and white selfie with the caption, "When you finally see who's real and who was using you, moving on." The comments were not sympathetic. He'd moved back in with Patricia. According to Cousin Jennifer, he hadn't left his childhood bedroom except for meals. No job, no prospects. Just him and Patricia, enabling each other in a toxic feedback loop. The cycle continued, without me there to fix it. Dr. Helen Park's office. 4 weeks post-wedding. I'd been seeing her weekly since coming back, not because I was falling apart, I wasn't, but because I needed help processing what I'd done and what came next. "How are you feeling about the decision to cut contact?" Dr. Park asked, settling into her chair with her ever-present tea. "Honestly, lighter, sadder, guilty, relieved, angry, free." I laughed. "All of it. Sometimes all at once. That's normal. Grief isn't linear. I keep waiting to regret it, to wake up one day and think, what have I done? But I don't. I just feel sad that it had to be this way." Dr. Park nodded. "You're grieving the family you deserved but never had. The mother who would have supported you, the father who would have stood up, the brother who would have celebrated with you. Those people never existed, Emma, but you're mourning them anyway. Is that okay? It's human." We unpacked why I'd been the fixer. "Your role in the family served a purpose," Dr. Park explained. "It made you feel valuable, needed. If you were the one solving problems, you had a place, identity, worth. But it was killing me. Yes, because the cost of that identity was your own needs, your own happiness, your own life. You became a supporting character in everyone else's story." I thought about that. I didn't even realize I was doing it. Of course not. It was your normal. You were trained from childhood, rewarded for self-sacrifice, punished for self-advocacy. That's incredibly hard to unlearn. How do I make sure I don't fall back into it? By continuing to practice boundaries, by noticing when you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself and questioning whether that guilt is earned or programmed. The nightmares came in waves, not every night, but often enough. I'd dream that I was back at my parents' house and Patricia was screaming at me and I couldn't find the door to leave. Or I'd dream that the wedding never happened, that I'd caved at the last minute and canceled everything. Or I'd dream that Tyler crashed my car again and again and again in an endless loop. Jake held me through them. "You're safe," he'd whisper. "They can't reach you anymore. You're safe." But there were good days, great days. Thanksgiving with the Mitchell family. No guilt about skipping my parents' house. No Tyler demanding attention. Just turkey and football and Linda's pumpkin pie and easy laughter. Christmas morning in our apartment. Just Jake and me. Waking up slow, making pancakes, opening gifts without anyone else's drama hanging overhead. New Year's Eve with Rachel and her girlfriend, watching fireworks from a rooftop bar, toasting to a year of freedom. By the 6-month mark, I was genuinely happy most days. Still had moments of grief. Still had the occasional nightmare. Still felt the phantom weight of that old obligation. But the baseline wasn't anxiety anymore. It was peace. 6 months to the day after the wedding, I got an email. "Emma, it's been 6 months. I've been in therapy every week. 45-minute sessions every Thursday. I've read 3 books on codependency and enabling. I've had harder conversations with myself than I ever thought possible. I've set boundaries with your mother. Last month, when she demanded I call you and make you apologize, I said no. She didn't speak to me for 3 days, but I held the boundary. I'm not where I need to be yet. But I'm not where I was. Your mother and I are separated. I moved into an apartment in February. Filed for legal separation in March. I don't know if it will become divorce. But I know I can't live with someone who refuses to acknowledge she hurt you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking to be back in your life like nothing happened. But I'm asking for coffee, 1 hour, public place, no pressure. Just a chance to show you that I'm serious about change. I understand if you say no, but I'm asking. Love, Dad." I read it 3 times. Then I showed Jake. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I want my dad back. But I don't know if he's capable of being the dad I need." There's only one way to find out. I sat with it for 2 days. Then I replied, "Dad, 1 hour, Saturday 10 a.m. at Cafe Allegro on University Way. Ground rules. We don't discuss Patricia or Tyler. You don't ask me to reconcile with them. If you violate these, I leave. This doesn't mean we're fixed. It means I'm willing to see if you're serious. See you there. Emma, Cafe Allegro. Saturday morning, April, 6 months post-wedding. I arrived first, deliberately. Chose a table near the exit. Kept my keys in my hand. Jake was in the car outside, reading a book, ready to come in if I texted. Escape routes planned, boundaries set. David walked in at 10:02. He looked older, tired. There were new lines around his eyes, gray in his hair I didn't remember. But he also looked clearer, less defeated. He ordered coffee, just black, no cream, and sat down across from me. "Hi, sweetheart." "Hi, Dad." First 10 minutes. Awkward small talk. Weather. Traffic. My new apartment. We'd moved to a bigger place in March. His new apartment. Smaller, quieter, lonely. Then, "I saw on Rachel's Instagram," David said. "You posted a photo from New Year's Eve. You looked happy." I was. "I'm glad." He paused. "I'm also sad I wasn't there." "You could have been. You chose not to be." "I know." The silence stretched. "Dad," I said finally, "why did you reach out? What do you actually want from this?" "I want—" He stopped, choosing words carefully. "I want you to know I've changed, that I'm changing. I want a relationship with my daughter that's not built on me enabling your mother's worst instincts. For how long? Until Mom cries? Until Tyler needs something? Emma, your mother and I are separated, legally. I moved out in February." I nearly dropped my coffee. "What?" "After you went no contact, I kept watching. Your mother giving Tyler money. Your college fund money, by the way. You never knew about it, but we had $15,000 saved for your grad school. She gave it to Tyler in December. He blew it in 3 months on God knows what." I felt a flash of anger. "Then let it go. That money was always going to Tyler one way or another." "I told her it had to stop," David continued. "That we couldn't keep enabling him. She said if I made her choose between me and Tyler, she'd choose Tyler. So I said, 'I'm not asking you to choose. I'm telling you I'm choosing myself.' And you moved out. And I moved out." I processed this. My father, passive, conflict-avoidant David, had actually left. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I needed to prove to myself that I could do it, that I wouldn't go running back after 2 weeks. It's been 2 months. I haven't gone back. I won't." "What about Tyler?" "I told him I'd help him if he got therapy and a job. Real help, not enabling. He told me to go to hell." David's voice cracked. "Maybe someday he'll hit rock bottom and come around. Maybe not. But I can't save him. I wasted 26 years trying." The resemblance was striking. I'd made the same choice, walked away from the same people. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," David said, "or to let me back into your life like nothing happened. But Emma, I'm asking for a chance. Coffee once a month. Just us. A chance to be the father I should have been." I thought about it. The part of me that had been abandoned, that little girl who watched her father choose silence over standing up for her, wanted to say no, wanted to protect herself. But the adult part of me, the part that understood complexity, that knew people could change if they did the work, wanted to give him a chance. "Once a month," I said finally. "Coffee. Just us. No asking me to reconcile with Mom or Tyler. Can you handle that?" "Yes." "And Dad, if you go back to her, if you fall into old patterns, I'm done. For good. Do you understand?" "I understand. And I won't." As we stood to leave, David said, "Emma, I'm sorry I wasn't the father you needed when you needed him. But I'd like to try to be that father now, even if it's late." "I'd like that too. But Dad, this is probation. You're earning trust back. You don't just get it." "I know." He opened his arms hesitantly. "Can I hug you?" I stepped into his arms, and I cried. Not for what was lost. That was gone, unrecoverable. But for what might still be saved. October. Our new house in Ballard. Jake and I had bought a small craftsman bungalow with a backyard, a real backyard with room for a garden and eventually, maybe, a swing set. Tonight, we were hosting a dinner party. Nothing fancy, just the people who mattered. Rachel and her girlfriend Jen, Melissa and Jordan from law school, Tom and Linda, and David. He'd been coming to these for 6 months now. At first, it had been weird. everyone watching him carefully, wondering if he'd revert to old patterns. But he'd shown up consistently, set boundaries, kept going to therapy. He and I had coffee once a month, like clockwork. Third Saturday, 10 a.m., Cafe Allegro. We talked about work, about books, about his therapy insights. Never about Patricia or Tyler. That door stayed closed. Was it perfect? No. Was it real? Yes. As I moved through our kitchen, our home, the one Jake and I had built together, I felt a profound sense of rightness. Tom and David were in the living room talking about baseball. Linda was helping me with garlic bread. Rachel and Jen were opening wine. This was family now, chosen family, built family. "Em?" Jake came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About?" "About how different this is from a year ago." He kissed my temple. "Better?" "So much better!" After dinner, Jake and I stood in the backyard, string lights overhead, the October air crisp and smelling of fallen leaves. Inside, through the window, we could see our friends laughing. David animated, telling some story with his hands, Tom clapping him on the back. "Do you regret it?" Jake asked quietly. "Any of it?" I thought about the question, really thought. Did I miss having parents? Yes. Did I miss those parents? No. Did I grieve the family I never had? Always. Did I grieve the family I walked away from? Not anymore. "I regret that it had to happen," I said finally. "I wish my mother could have been different. I wish Tyler could have celebrated with us instead of competing. I wish my father had stood up sooner. But I don't regret walking away. That family was killing me slowly, one small sacrifice at a time. I couldn't save them. I could only save myself." Jake pulled me close. "I'm proud of you." "For what?" "For choosing yourself when everyone told you not to. For holding boundaries when it would have been easier to cave. For building this." He gestured to the house, the lights, the laughter inside. "Instead of staying in that." I leaned into him, feeling his heartbeat. "People who relied on my silence called me cruel the first time I spoke," I said softly. "They called me selfish the first time I chose myself. They said I was destroying the family." "But you weren't cruel," Jake said. "No, I was awake. And you know what?" "What?" "The morning is beautiful." We stood there in our backyard, and I let myself feel it all. The grief, the relief, the love, the freedom. A year ago, I'd gotten married without my mother present, without most of my family, with security guards at the gate to keep them out, and I'd do it again, every single time. Because the alternative, staying silent, staying small, staying in that cage, wasn't living, it was just existing. And I'd spent 29 years existing for other people. Now I was living for myself. "Jake?" I said. "Yeah? No regrets?" He smiled. "None. You?" I thought about October 14th, the vineyard, the vows, the 25 people who showed up, the boundaries that held, the life we'd built in the year since. I thought about David inside, laughing with Tom, working every day to be better. I thought about the family I'd lost and the family I'd gained. "Just one," I said. "What?" "I wish I'd done it sooner." Jake kissed me as the laughter from inside drifted out into the October evening, and I knew, with absolute certainty, that I'd made the right choice.